Hey, this is Steve Halleck of TikToking. As always, please follow me at Steve Halleck on Instagram and check out TikToking.com. Today, I wanted to do a twofer and compare an LM101 Hodinkee edition and an LM2, obviously both by MB&F. I happen to have both of these here, and it's pretty damn rare to have these both in one place, considering 10 of the Hodinkee edition LM101s exist, and I wouldn't imagine a whole lot more rose gold LM2s exist, so, exponentially rare to have both of these in one place. And I figured, why not? Why not do them both at one time and check these things out? So obviously on the left, here's the Hodinkee LM101. On the right, this is the LM2. Now LM, of course, stands for Legacy Machine, and these are the classic MB&Fs. You know, Max likes to say this is what he would have designed if he was around, 100 or 150 years ago, or whatever. And so there's sort of a futuristic retroness to them, but they're very much old world craft made into three-dimensional machines. Now let's start with the LM101 here. So the LM101 is the smallest LM. The LM1, 2, and Perpetual are all 44 millimeters, while the LM101 is 40 millimeters. And this is kind of the classic dress watch of the line. Now Hodinkee, of course, has their own kind of unique aesthetic, and obviously they're super into the vintage Pateks and Rolexes and stuff like that. And to that crowd, there's nothing cooler than a dress watch in stainless steel. And so they commissioned a special run of 10 pieces in a stainless steel case with a brown dial. And they were sold on the website, and all 10 pieces sold at full retail in 5 hours. So it was a huge success and really cool. Also, to the best of my knowledge, it's the only MB&F piece ever made in stainless steel. And so it's a really cool, unique edition. And I think it also kind of represents a really important thing in watches, like to be able to sell 10, I think it was 52,000 retail watches online in 5 hours is a really significant thing just for kind of online retail and new media. And so this watch is sort of a physical representation of that shifting world and I think where commerce is going in the future. So it's really cool for that as well. But mechanics-wise, this is obviously the much simpler of the two. You've got actually kind of a standard anchor escapement there. The balance is suspended under this dome, and you can see there's a long sort of staff that connects it down to the escapement. Here, of course, you've got a traditional, very traditional Roman numerals enamel. It's actually like a lacquer, but it looks just like an enamel dial, and just hours and minutes. And then down here, you've got your power reserve. And the power reserve on this model is a disc, unlike LM1, obviously, which is a three-dimensional little indicator that goes up, and LM2 doesn't have a power reserve indicator. So there's your power reserve, and that's all you really need, right? It's a dress watch. It's obviously a very modern, kind of cool, casual take on it, but a dress watch nonetheless. You've got hours and minutes. You've got a power reserve. What else do you need? And then on the back, of course, you've got this incredible Kari Voutilainen finished movement that's really just spectacular. All the LM1, 2, Perpetual, LM101 were created in conjunction with Kari and have this like totally glowing, amazing classic movement with the gold chatons and these sort of sweeping bridges with amazing anglage and really beautiful piece. So This is the LM101 for Hodinkee. I'll show you on the wrist after we get through the LM2. We'll do the wrists together. Okay? So LM2 is this sort of mechanically badass legacy machine. Now, in the early 2000s, Philippe Dufour made a piece called The Duality. And the Duality had two separate escapements that were linked with a center differential and basically averaged the rate of the two to ensure the best timekeeping. He made 9 watches. They're 34 millimeters. They're, very specific, impossible to find. One will come for auction eventually and be a bajillion dollars. But nobody else had played with this idea. But Max always loved the Duality. And of course, the legacy machine is all about these floating balance wheels. So as long as you're going to make a watch that's all about the floating balance, why not have 2? And if you're going to have 2, how are you going to link them? What are you going to do with it? Well, let's go with the kind of coolest, most technologically sound way, and that is with a center differential. Of course, Francois-Paul Journe has 2 as well that are supposedly linked with resonance, but the kind of jury is out on whether that works or not, and how well and under what circumstances and whatever. But if you have them mechanically linked with a differential, you know that the system's actually working and you're getting the best rate keeping possible. So here you have these 2 balances. They're also hovering above the dial. Same kind of staff and escapement is used, but here you have this huge differential that's in there with planetary gears and the whole 9. Now this does not turn like a tourbillon or something like that. It does move and it does turn, but it's slower than you'll notice on actually wearing it. So you can see the open mechanism, but as you can see, it's not like whirling around or anything like that. Again, you have this same enamel-like dial, Roman numerals, hours, minutes, and that's all you have on the dial of this one. Of course, it's centered on this piece, whereas it's off-centered on the LM101. And this movement is just stunning. You have the symmetry here, and these huge wheels down here, and of course with the expert finish that I was talking about before, it's really something really special. So this one is LM2, and obviously it's a rose gold case. I have it on this sort of trick blue strap that matches the hands really well and gives the piece a little bit of extra pop. But this piece really looks like $1 million in the hand. I mean, you've got like the bright gold, the bright dial, the jewels really pick up the color because how just sort of amazingly finely finished everything is, and the whole thing just pops. Okay, so let me show you the pieces on the wrist. Now, LM2 is really significantly bigger than the LM101. You can see here just in diameter, and then also in thickness. The dome is much more pronounced on the LM2. The case is thicker. The whole thing, it just kind of dwarfs the LM101. So let me show you how that manifests itself on the wrist. All right, so this is LM2 on the wrist. And you can see it still fits quite well. I mean, again, I don't have a huge wrist. Max is very good at designing watches that actually fit on normal human beings' wrists. He has about the same size wrist as I do and always makes sure that things actually look good on him. So it fits well, but it's got really a lot of wrist presence, obviously. It takes up the whole thing. You've got these 2 moving balance wheels. You really can notice and spot this watch. And if you check out my Instagram, I just recently posted a picture wearing kind of jeans and a t-shirt with this watch on a weekend one day, and it's a picture from the outside, and you can see kind of how it looks on a person in real life. But that's LM2. And I guess the last thing to notice on this piece is the main plate of the the movement here really is what you're seeing. It's silver and very highly like a sunburst finish that's very fine. And so it really picks up the light and sparkles quite a bit depending on where the light is and the angle. All right, let's show you the LM101 on the wrist. Do this without dropping it. Very good. Okay, so LM101, of course, the Hodinkee edition, the claim to fame is also, beside the steel case, it's the brown dial. And the brown dial is really stunning on this one. It can read either a very dark brown or kind of a light coppery color, depending on the light. Again, it's the similar kind of sunburst finish as the silver, but it's brown. So let me put this one on, and you can see this is quite a bit smaller on the wrist. Still has a lot of presence, and you have the huge balance wheel right in the middle of this one. So it's very prominent, noticeable, and gives a very, very cool look, but a much more modest sized case. So for people who are uncomfortable in a bigger, chunkier watch, the LM101 gives you the three-dimensionality while sporting a case that's not a whole lot bigger than like a Journe case or something like that. So there you have it. That's the LM101 Hodinkee and LM2 rose gold. And I hope I said something of value here, and at least you enjoyed looking at these cool watches. These are, really, really special, and I love what Max is doing with both the LMs and the HMs, but the LMs especially, to have an independent watchmaker that is making such innovative stuff, but also to such an incredible degree of finish and quality is really, really pretty spectacular. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.